Okay, is this info available online somewhere else? Yes, definitely. Go check out W3 Schools. They do a lot better job than I do, but we're making it anyway. Click the button, go next screen. So the first HTML tag that you need to be aware of goes at the top of the document is the doc type HTML. It helps the browsers know what to expect. It's not the formal declaration of HTML. You get to do it twice, basically. Yeah, if you don't do it, your browser will basically fix it, but in Chrome, it'll be like, you got a warning. And then there's the HTML. Everything inside of the HTML tags is HTML code. Even if well, it is. That's basically where all of your document's going to be. This will be the second line and the bottom line in your HTML document. The head section isn't, so we're going to use the word head a lot today, and this head section is going to be the metadata. It'll come before your body, and you'll put things in there that will not appear on the main page of your HTML. Some of those things are like the title of the page, which will be actually a different slide. There it is, the title of the page. This will be it'll be in the head section, but it'll be the tab name, basically. So if you've got a tab open, that'll be the words in the tab. You can also add an icon, not in the title section, but you can add an icon up there at the top of your tab as well. Super fun stuff. In the head section again, you might link like a style sheet or a favicon. This is not a link that you would click on though, right? This is a link to like supporting resources. We'll talk about how to make some words clickable links later on. It's a different tag. And then finally we get to the body tag. The body tags are going to surround the main content of your HTML document. So everything that's going to be shown in the browser on the screen, that's going to be your body tag. And yep, inside of your body tag, you might find various of these tags. An H1, there's actually H1 through H6, and as the numbers get higher, their importance gets less. Think of these as first place, second place, third place in a race kind of thing, or even like on an old-timey newspaper, the first headline. And this is called a headline or a head tag or an H1. Normally I call them an H1 through H6. H7 doesn't work, but go ahead and try it anyway. See what happens. Really just try and break stuff and see what happens, because it's not going to hurt. Then we have the P tag. This is a paragraph tag. This is where text goes. Yep, super fun stuff. You can actually nest tags inside of other tags as well. I don't know that you would normally nest like an H1 inside of a paragraph or a paragraph inside of an H1, but you could definitely have other things inside of a paragraph tag. For example, a link. This is actually a link, so it's an A tag, and this is the first tag that we're showing that actually has an attribute as well. So the href equals hashtag right there. The href is an attribute. H stands for hyper, and then ref stands for reference, and then afterwards in the quote marks, that would be the new web page that you would click on it. In between the A opening and A closing tag, you would put words, and those words would be clickable. Also, let me point out here, because I haven't done it yet, we have an A opening tag that's got the A href, and it's bracketed by these less than greater than symbols. I like to call them brackets sometimes. And then it closes the A tag with that slash, again, bracket slash A. And so everything inside of it is going to be visible on the page, and it'll just be clickable as well, because that's what the A tag does. Super fun stuff. And then of course we have an image tag. Now the image tag doesn't have a closing. It's just an image. And it's got two other attributes though. It's got the source, and we would put the file name or the file name and location of the image. And then it also has alt text or a description of the image. Not everyone can see. Also, when we're doing this, it's very possible that we make a mistake. And if we make a mistake and our image doesn't show up, we'll have an alt text to tell us what the image should be. And also as a clue that, hey, I'm expecting to see this word if the image doesn't show up at very least. So it's really good. For my classes, all images are required to have alt text. It's very good practice. This is a BR tag or a break tag. It's effectively a new line character in HTML. And if you were making a paragraph, like a big paragraph of, a P tag, but you wanted to have like, a new line in the middle of your paragraph. And I know that seems like that would be a new paragraph, and maybe it would be, maybe it's not. Anyway, you could use the BR tag. And then of course there's an HR tag for a horizontal rule. This puts a section, and then this puts a line, and then you can have another section on your page, right? Super fun stuff. Pre-tags are tags that will let the HTML document know that this next section is pre-formatted text. So HTML, and feel free to try this in a P tag, it ignores extra white space. If you hit a bunch of enters, in a row, and in your, formatting, you've got all these fancy formatting stuff with just extra spaces and extra new lines, they're not going to show up. That's why we have things like the BR tag, because hitting the enter button a bunch of times in a P tag, it'll just remove all of those extra enter buttons. But if you've got something like a poem or like a code snippet where the formatting is important and you don't want to deal with recreating that formatting, you could wrap it in a P tag, or a pre tag, and all of that pre-formatting extra white spaces, that'll kind of stay put. Then of course there's the emphasize tag. EM. EM actually shows up in a couple of different places as well, because that's a measurement inside of styles and texts as well. But for us, EM tags are emphasizing tags. It kind of defaults it, but also I grew up using the I tag for italic. So I think I tag is still supported. It's probably not as clear. It still works. There's the strong tag. Strong, again, kind of provides some context. It emphasizes text. There's a little bit between an emphasis with italicized as the default styling, and strong, which is bolding, as the default styling. And it's different ways. You could put this around a word or around a phrase or a few words. Next up, we've got the div tag. The div helps us organize our content into different sections, okay? Sometimes we get what's called div soup when we're trying to style pages and make this a group of stuff and that picture and this text a group of stuff, and it'll get very divvy, right? And so there are a couple other elements that have different names but are effectively the same thing as a div, like a section or an article or a header or a footer. But they're all effectively just divs. Div, of course, is what does a div stand for? Division, I would guess. Yeah. And then we've got an OL, which is an ordered list, because lists are fun. You might want to have top 10 reasons that lists are cool, and the order is important, so you want to number the thing. In lists, you will have an ordered list, and then inside of the ordered list, you'll have list items. So for however many items you want to have in your list, you'll have an LI. We don't have a slide for that because I don't have a slide for it, but I'm telling you now, LI. And the fun thing about an ordered list is you don't have to number it. You don't have to put 1, 3, 4. You just put LI, 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 and then the browser will number it for you. And if you come back later and you're oh no, that's the wrong order, you just move them around, and the numbers will be in the proper number order anyway. Maybe you're making a list though, and the number or the order isn't important. You just need a list of I don't know, cool things to do in Wyoming, because everybody wants to do cool things in Wyoming. But you don't have any specific order for those. It's not you got to do this right, in order, right? The order doesn't matter. You could just do bulleted points or dots, and you can also change the number style or the dot style. You can change those things. And again, just as with the ordered list, the unordered list is going to have a list item. Everything in the list is going to be wrapped in a list item. This is a table. Tables are really fun. They're tiny little spreadsheets. They're organized by rows. So you'd have a table, and then you'd have a table row, and then inside your table row, probably your first row is going to be your table H, your table head, and then your next table row is going to be table data, and then another table row, table data, table row, table data. So effectively, you've got a row, and then all of your columns are actually going to be wrapped up in that table head, probably for the first one, and then table data, all your columns. I used to use tables all the time. way back in the day, just to get things in the right spot on my web page. I'd make the whole web page a table, and then I would just use like table row, and you could like column span and row span, kind of like make them fit. But nowadays we have like flex blocks and CSS grid, and so you know, I see it a little more rarely, but tables are still really useful. And then of course this is a comment. This is also our last slide. So commenting on your code is really good. It kind of gives you a note about what you were trying to do. Sometimes you comment things when you're like just starting out and you're like, oh, I don't want to forget this particular bit. So you put a little comment in here about what you're doing next, or maybe you're about to leave. And so you want to make a note like, oh, I'm here, or maybe also with a comment, because these are multi-line comments. So everything inside of where the words are, this is a comment, will be effectively ignored by the browser. It'll be there in the code. Humans can read it, but it's not going to like try and do anything with it. So if you're testing things out and you like want to try the code, but without a section of code, and you don't want to delete the code, you could just like comment out the code. I comment out code all the time when I'm testing things, and it's just like comment it out, it's still there. If I need it back, I can uncomment it, it'll be back. But then later when I like clean things up, if I've just commented out a bunch of code, I'll probably get rid of that code, you know, for publishing it. Yep, that's it, that's all. Hope this helps.